Welcome to the Floored-Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hedin, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Phoenix, Arizona. We're here to talk with flooring professionals from all across the country about the issues that matter to you. This week's guest is JC Braveheart. JC is based out of Anchorage, Alaska, and has been involved with flooring since he was 18 years old. He started working in the warehouse of Big Bob's Flooring and later moved on to a crew of one of the installers. JC gives us some perspective on what some of the younger kids in our trade need from us to be successful. Listen in and find out how flooring saved his life. JC Braveheart, are you on the line?
Yes, I am, Kyle. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Oh, dude, my pleasure. It was nice meeting you at Surfaces. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule and away from your family to join us on the Floored-Academy podcast.
Not a problem. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I know you've been, you were fangirling about being mentioned a couple of times, so I can only imagine how you feel right now. You're going to be the star.
Yeah, it makes my head feel a little bit bigger.
We'll have to pop that like we pop Ken Ballins all the time. Oh, well, so I appreciate you coming on. I think we've got an interesting topic. This is not the episode that I am trying to put together the panel of Gen Z kids for, but I do think what we have to talk about is an important topic. So let's have you introduce yourself. Give us a little bit of background on you, where you've been, what you do now, kind of how you found your way into the trade, and we'll take it from there.
All right. Well, my name is JC Braveheart. I live up here in Anchorage, Alaska. And how I kind of got into this industry, 2013, I seen a ad on Craigslist for a warehouseman at a flooring store. So I popped in there. Got the job right on the spot. I guess I was like, no one else could pass the math test.
Okay, you got that going for you.
Yeah, I was like, oh, perfect. And then started working in the warehouse, started talking to the installers like all the time, became really good friends with them, loading them out. Then I kind of moved up into sales, and I was working sales, and then I would go back into the warehouse, and then I kind of went through some harder times. So if I missed too much work or I was just being young and dumb, the boss there, the owner, he would fire me like, I got to let you go. And then a couple months later or something, he's like, hey man, I need you back. I can't find anyone. Mm-hmm. So I probably was hired and fired there 4 times before I left this last time to go install floors.
You sound like a typical young kid.
Yeah, I wasn't, didn't have my head right. I try to keep a goal. I just really didn't care, making dumb decisions. And then, so after this last time, I did sales a lot more, and then I did warehouse. And then one of the guys who opened up the shop with him, he told me, he was like, hey, he's not paying you enough money here, and I can't watch you just go through life getting paid $12 an hour. And I was like, well, what can we do about it? He's like, well, why don't you just come work for me, install for me? And I was like, all right. So we talked to the owner of the shop. I told him what was going to happen. He said he's happy for me. He's like, I want to pay you a lot of money, but I just can't pay you a lot of money for being in the warehouse. So go ahead, go work with him, and we'll see how this goes. And now it's been about a year and a half, almost 2 years that I've been installing. And after the first year, I started going out on my own. I do about half and half now, work with the boss, and then I'll go do my own side jobs and stuff.
Oh, let's not call them side jobs. There's no such thing as a side job. Because if you're doing a trade, you're doing the job.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. I transitioning to go out on my own.
No, I know. I'm giving you a hard time, but it's a mindset I want to encourage, because you see it on the online forums all the time and on the online groups. Oh, I got a side job on Saturday. Man, if flooring's your full-time gig and you're doing flooring on the weekend, it ain't a side job. Just because it ain't through your boss, take pride in it. That's yours. So yeah, it's a bad term. It's like my mission to, we can't call them helpers. They got to be apprentices.
Yeah, I like that too when you first said that. I agree with that.
So okay, let's go back a little bit. All right, so it's 2020 now. So in 2013, you would have been just about 18 or 19, correct?
Yep, 19.
Okay, so like pretty much fresh out of high school, nothing
Yeah,
much
well,
going on for you.
I left high school when I was 16,
Okay.
and I just got my GED, and then I actually did some time working out in the oil field, uh, in between of me working at Big Bob's Flooring.
Okay. So I mean, obviously, you were able to pass the math test, which is, man, anybody you're going to bring on to help you in some kind of form of flooring needs to be able to read a tape measure or add a couple things together. So I mean that gave you a leg up and he hired you on the spot. What did being able to like work in the warehouse do for you, and then why were you, obviously you're young and there's girls and there's booze and there's drugs and there's, there's all kinds of fun stuff to find out in the world, but why wouldn't you take the job seriously? Like what were you getting out of it, and what were you wanting to go and do that you found more important?
You basically just said it. There was girls, there was parties. Uh, I just during that time when I was there, I was single for the first couple years, and during that time, I was just, I guess trying to live my life fast, thinking I can do whatever I want. So I would just not think about the responsibilities, and some days I just wake up, I don't need to go to work. I'm not even gonna call.
Mm-hmm.
And then some days they would be knocking on my door, waking me up, telling me it's 10 o'clock to get to the shop. And after having that happen, it started to wake me up a lot because I realized I can't just keep doing this forever. And I'm going to have a life soon. I'm going to have to support myself. And what really started to motivate me was I was looking at those labor tickets when I was loading out jobs, and I would see the labor tickets, and I'm like, man, I wish I could go make $1,000 a day. And I just kept talking to the installers, and they all said, like, if you don't want to work here anymore, just go out and install. And I just slowly just started to kind of feel a little bit more responsible and try to grow up at least a little bit. And working in the oil field, when if I got fired and I'd go work on the oil platforms in the inlet, that kind of woke me up a lot too, and just started slowly gaining more and more respect for the installers and seeing what they do. And my mindset with everything that I do is I want to be the best. I want to be the number one guy in
Mm-hmm.
anything that I do. And it's kind of cocky. I try to make myself better, I guess. And I just kept trying to learn. And so when I installed my first job, I just picked it apart. I thought of so many things that were bad, and I just I just want to be the best there is. Like, not like saying there's always going to be people that are way better than me. They have the craftsmanship, but in my head, I want to feel that confidence so I
Mm-hmm.
don't, like, I don't know,
No,
mess
I'm with
up or
you.
something.
I'm the same way. Like, look, I'm never gonna be God's gift to flooring. I'm proficient at it, but I can strive to always get better and learn something from somebody else. So I'm with you. You gotta put in 110%, look at it, and say, all right, next time I can do this, this, and this better, and then the next time you improve something else and something else, and you keep going. So where did that come from, though? I mean, was that an innate thing that you've always had? Was that encouraged into you? Did you have a new reason to live for? Like, where did that mindset kind of come from and get developed and pushed?
It was, I think I started developing that mindset when I did a lot of sports when I was younger. My mom told me when I started playing football, my mom told me, if you don't want to mess up, picture yourself as the best guy out there. So that kind of always just sticks with me and sticks with me for like everything that I do. But then also some days, I get very humbled, and then it kind of I overthink, and then it'll
Mm-hmm.
break it back down. But then I just try to pick that attitude back up again, and I don't know, I'm just wired like that now. That's all I think about for
Mm-hmm.
anything that I do.
Okay, so I mean, it was kind of encouraged into you from a young age that
Yeah,
you need to strive to be better than what you were yesterday.
exactly.
Okay.
Learn every day.
I mean, you said okay, and then you said the guys were coming. They're knocking on your door and stuff. They're waking you up. They're telling you got to get into the shop and work. Are you living at home? Or are you on your own at that time?
Yeah, I had my own apartment.
Okay, so you
The
could go
owner of
really go
this,
buck wild.
yeah, the owner of the store had three different apartment buildings. So of course, since I was working for him, he'd put me in an apartment, and I'd be the manager of the apartment complex, get cheap rent. So I was just, I felt free, I guess. And at 19, that wasn't very smart of me, I don't think.
Okay, so he gave you tons of responsibility, and you flaked it all off.
Yeah, I messed it up pretty bad, I think. And he always lectured me all the time because he kept saying like he sees something in me and he wants me to reach my full potential. And I would just let him down and let him down. And it's just, I don't know. I actually feel kind of bad for all of that, I guess, because he's like just the nicest guy, and he just gave me all his life lessons and stuff. And he just wanted me to do really good. And next thing I know, I'm calling him like, hey, can you bail me out of jail? And he'd get me out, he needs me at the
Mm-hmm.
shop.
So you got are there any big Bobisms for us? You got a big Bobism?
Uh, there is, one thing that he kind of trained me on there was he doesn't care what I'm doing. He just wants me to be busy. And then that turned into when I would hire on guys and I would be like the manager of the warehouse, they'd end up just sweeping in a circle all day. And I kind of talked that up to him, and he was like, well, I'd rather see you busy instead of standing around with your hands in your pockets.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, and if you start standing around with your hands in your pockets, you're going to get lazy and you're not going to care anymore. So I kind of just took that as always make sure I have a purpose of doing something, not just sweeping in a circle. So it kept me moving a lot, and that works really good now that I'm installing.
No, I like that's really good. That's very insightful, and I think you know we get a lot of guys. Oh, all these guys they want to look at their phones. I can't find anybody that wants to work. Give them something to do and hold them accountable for it. If you want them to sweep a room all day and that's all they're going to do, even if they swept it 5 times, make sure they keep sweeping it.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I think it's on us because we just look at them like kids. Even when I had Golden Boy Brad on the team, it wasn't that he was a kid like a child to me, but he was like a kid brother. And so like things could like slack off because you're like, they're not just there yet. But if we don't hold people accountable for their actions, then how can we expect them to grow and get better? So,
Exactly.
and I think that's what was happening is you were being held accountable and being given chances to do things, and you've slowly matured into a person that Big Bob can be proud of, even though you're not
Yeah.
working for him anymore. So let's go. So you worked at the warehouse. You're kind of he can't pay you enough, so you move out to go install, but it was amicable. So, and I'm assuming the jobs still that the guy you're under now come from that shop.
Yeah. He
So,
actually opened up the shop with the owner.
okay, so it's all very tight knit and a tight family.
Yeah. Like my boss now, he worked for the owner's dad when he owned Giant Don's flooring. So they're all family.
Okay,
They're like basically family.
so you're allowed to move out. You've got no installation experience. You're 23ish now, 22, 23, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Okay. So how does that go? Because it sounds like you were probably taking life a little bit more seriously now, but maybe not 100%.
Yeah. I mean, it was, honestly, it was the perfect way for me to learn. Because my boss now, he's just a old, straightforward, grumpy, pretty mean guy. Like he basically hammered it into me about what I need to get done.
Okay.
And if I didn't get it done right, well, I'm never going to hear the end of it.
Okay.
So, and that's how I got to learn. You got to give it to me straight. Tell me what you need. Tell me what I could do to get better. And then I'll just work on it from there by myself.
Do you think that would work for everybody though?
Not really, because when we bring an apprentice on now, we've gone through like probably 7 guys in
Okay.
like the last year, and I, I feel like I'm an old man now. The way that I end up talking to them, I feel bad, but then I have to realize that they can't be ahead of the ball because they don't know what I'm going to do next.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I was taught. If when I was just the trash guy or the sweeping guy, if they're going to start installing this room, you better get in there and get it clean before they get in there. So I always tell the apprentices, look, this is how my day is going to go. I'm probably going to start in this room. I need you to take all the base off, get it all prepped before I get there. And if you don't have anything else to do, well, open up some boxes for me, or, just make it. Your job is to make my life easier until you start installing.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of just try to give it to them straight, tell them straight up like what they need to do. But then there's like the guys who went in one year, went out the other. Stand around, put your hands in your pockets. And I never put my hands in my pockets because of the owner of Big Bob's. If he ever seen you with your hands in your pockets, you're going home.
Jeez. Okay.
And so I liked being able to be taught kind of in like a mean but straightforward way. And I kind of try to do that now, but try not to sound like a jerk.
Well, and I think that's the problem, is that you're on the tail end of millennials at 25 at this point and the beginning of Gen Z. I'm on the tail end of Gen X and the beginning of millennials. So for me, like, I get that grump thing, and it doesn't bother me. Like, if someone's going to yell at me, like, I did something stupid and deserve it. I don't like it. I don't want to be screamed at, but I get it.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how that generation was. And it toned down a little bit throughout the years of millennials to like, they don't want to get yelled at, to where Gen Z is now. And I feel, they're snowflakes and they don't want to work hard and this, that, and the other thing. Well, there are kids that want to work hard, but we need to change the way we interact with them. It's every person has a different style. So have you had any that have made it past a month or two and been around like 6 months, and you've seen something that works for them? Like, is there a style of being more lenient or anything like that?
Yeah. One of the guys, he's been with us for about 6 months, and he he likes like stern also, but he's starting to get really comfortable to where he'll snap back.
Oh, that's no
And
good.
and I told him one day, I was like, dude, I'm gonna end up sending you home. You don't yell at me because I'm trying to tell you how to do it. You've been in this closet for like 3 hours. Just let me show you an easier way so you can get it done faster. And he would like snap back at me. And then now he doesn't want to be the trash guy anymore. He doesn't want to sweep up. He wants
Mm-hmm.
to install the floor. So I told him, well, you have to be able to do good at the first thing before you can move on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to show him all the time about how I do things. And he'll like sit there and watch me for a while. And then he goes and tries something else that he thinks would work better. But I'm not saying how I do it is the best, but I'm just trying to show him a very good way of doing it. And sometimes I do, I guess, probably come off as a jerk because patience, I guess, is something I really need to work on. And I don't like repeating myself, but in this industry, you have to repeat yourself every day. But, and all the other guys that we've had, they're just, no one wants to work.
Mm-hmm.
They've all been like 19, 20, you know, all they do is just be on their phone. It's just getting a little harder. But once you find that, like as how Chad Lewis calls it, once you find that unicorn, then you just got to hold on to it.
Correct. I mean, what I would say is, like, I would give Brad an area, and I'll do it. I had another apprentice before him, and I had another kid that would help me out from time to time. And I'll give him an area. I say, here's the closet. Like if it's a giant master closet or something, and it's just a giant rectangle, get it prepped. And then I'll get them into the room, and it gets theirs after that. So they've got to do all the prep work for it. They don't get to do the flooring work into it to like get around the jams and the first couple of rows so that I know it stays straight and stuff.
Yeah.
But they can have it after that, and that's their room. And if that's all they install for the day and it's like 120 square feet or whatever it is, I'm content with that. They made
your money for the day, yeah.
Exactly. They earn their pay. So I'll let them do it. And it came down to, I had one kid get 75% of the way done with a room one day. And I went in and I checked it and I'm looking. I was like, hey man, this isn't going to cover over here. You're too far off the wall compared to everything else. Like the baseboard's not going to cover. I was like, let me check the other end. And he was short on that end too. And I was like, see, you done screwed up. You should have been longer over here. We could have tapped it back, take it all up. And so he had to take the whole thing up by himself carefully so he didn't break anything. And then he relayed it. He wasn't short again on a wall after that.
Yeah.
So
you probably learned.
Exactly. Like you got to give them tough lessons, and you have to understand, like, this is an investment. They're not there to make you money. Because how long did you not make your boss money for? You know,
probably 3 or 4 months at least.
Exactly. You're in the way. You're obnoxious. You're always asking questions and stopping him from doing something, and not bringing what he needs, and off doing something when you're not supposed to be. Like, we were all there. Nobody started off as the best floor person in the world just when they jumped in. So you talk about patience, and you're right. I think we all need more of it. And then we all need to remember where we came from.
Yeah, it's very true. And especially when you're learning from an old grumpy guy who has zero patience in the world. One day, a couple weeks ago, I was talking to one of the apprentices, the guy who's starting to get good. And my boss looks at me and he was like, you know, this isn't good. And I was like, what's that? He's like, you're starting to sound like me. And I started laughing and he was like, so now you think you're worth more, you know? Because he pays me really good.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants me to go out on my own. He gave me that van.
Okay.
He's trying to set me up. And it's just, he said, I'm starting to turn into an old man. I used to get in trouble for talking too much. Now I probably get yelled at for not talking at all because my head's just down. You know, I got my earphones in and I just go to work. And I don't look at it as I'm milking the clock, try to get every hour. I actually look at it like how he sees it, you know, more square footage on the ground, the more money we make in that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm supposedly I'm going to move up to percentage. And once I get there, I'm probably going to be out on my own though. I'm really close. I just haven't made the jump yet.
It's tough, man. That's a whole different story.
Yeah.
That's a whole different podcast. Man, because look, dude, I was employed and I ran my mouth and lost my job. And I didn't have a choice but to like start finding my own work. Not that I wasn't trying to find work before that, do it on the weekends and whatnot, because I knew I wanted to go out on my own. But yeah,
Yeah. I don't understand how I haven't yet, because, we'll be doing like 2, 3 jobs at a time, and I'll go do a job, he'll go do a job, and we'll put the helpers on prep on another job. And I just haven't been like, hey, all right, I'm going out on my own.
Because you got to find it all yourself.
Yeah.
You going to get
And
it all from the shop and have them take off your money? Or are you going to go and are you going to advertise? You going to put in the time to go and bid it and measure it and sell the material and deliver it and get it there on top of installing all day? Like, that's everyone always sees the grass is always greener on the other side, but it's not necessarily that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've been telling my fiance about, is I don't want to do all my work subbing through a shop. I want it to be all through me. But there's not a lot of guys up here that do that. Like, a lot of guys up here, they all sub through shops because the shops always have work. But I do look at those labor prices, and I know I can charge a lot more for the work that I do.
Correct, but everything's on you. So,
yeah.
there's a lot of considerations. I don't know. We can go there. Let's go there. All right. So, screw it. There's tons of considerations. Okay. So right now, if I go sub through a shop, they technically eat the job if I screw it up. Not that they're not going to come after me for like the money, but for little repairs and stuff, they're not necessarily going to do anything about it. You're going to go out, you're going to fix it. You're going to do this, that, or the other thing.
Yeah.
If I have a floor fail on me that I sold, I'm responsible for the product. I've got to deal with the distributor and get that warranted if it's a warranty issue, which my lawyers aren't that good. I can't afford that kind of a lawyer compared to the flooring company. So let's just know that I'm going to get screwed and it's on the installer. Well, then I'm also the installer. So now I got to pay for the flooring, and I got to pay for the demo, and I got to pay for the reinstallation. And if you already had that floor fail once, you're not installing that floor again. You're paying somebody else's bills.
Yeah.
Where's the
pros and cons.
Where's the glory in that, other than don't screw it up? But at the same time, for the rates that I get paid for what I'm charging, like the guys that do the Home Depot installs that get that subcontracted work, my installation price is twice what they get paid. So I can work, assuming all things are equal and we only lay floors, I can work 1 week and they have to work 2.
Yeah.
Is it beneficial? Sure, you can technically put a lot more money in your pocket, but there's a lot more risk. I also had to go out and find the job. I had to sell the job. And how many did I have to go to before I did that? So, I know for you, you have 2 young kids. Not that I don't. Yours are slightly younger than mine. You're getting married. There's a lot going on early on in that family. So now you're considering installing 8 hours a day at a minimum, if not 10, because you're by yourself and don't have a apprentice because you don't have enough work on your own to keep one busy. And then you've got to come home, eat dinner real quick, if not head straight to an estimate. And then you got to come home and write it up. So I'm not trying to scare you out of it, but there's, a lot of guys just are like, I can do it. But what about all the business considerations? How are you going to pay the taxes? What kind of accounts do you need? Who do you need to run your books for you? Can you run your own books?
Yeah, I definitely have been talking to my fiance about that. When I start this business, we're all in it together. It's a family business because you guys have to put up with what I'm going through.
Okay.
And everyone's going to, like my kids are going to go through it because I probably won't be home a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The wife's going to go through it because she has to. I told her I want her to do my books, but because she's works for a big corporate company and she's good at that. But I told her she's going to be involved in it too. And this will take a lot more of my mind and my time, because right now I just go to work for like 8 to 9 hours. put the floor in, and I don't deal with anything else after that. Like you said, I don't have to go do the estimates. I don't have to do the other stuff behind the scenes, but I want to be a part of that now. That's what I really want to. I want to be able to do it all on my own. But, and then on the other hand, I could just sub through the shop and just keep making decent money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Chad Lewis and we talked about a traveling showroom in a van. Basically have a showroom in the van, travel around the country. And, well, that's just one of the big ideas, but a showroom in a van would be pretty cool. Show up to a client's house and basically just show them everything you have.
There's a couple companies with that strategy. It's not the first time I've heard it, but it's doable. In-home showings are better than trying to get them to come down to a store and then you send them home with product. But
yeah,
the traveling part is what kills me, because state to state is going to vary on can you install or not in that state without certain licenses and
without a license and stuff.
all that stuff. Not that there's not plenty of states where you don't need a license, but I also think trying to keep up the traveling aspect of it to build a clientele would be difficult. Not to ruin your dreams, but
and definitely my family would be even more invested in it.
Yeah. Well, look, there's a lot. I knew a family that hopped in an RV for a year, traveled the entire U.S. 5 people in an RV for a year. 2 adults. No, 1, 2, 6 people. 2 adults, 4 kids. Like 13 to 3 in an RV for a year to travel around and see what state they liked the best so they could move across the country. Or like wherever they found. If Arizona was the best, then they were just going to stay here. If it was better in somewhere else, and so they ended up in like North Carolina or something like that, in some like small town, but homeschooled their kids, stuck in an RV. There's not enough space in my 1,100 square foot home, which isn't large, but man, to be stuck in an RV that's like 300 square feet, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah, you definitely have to work on your patience thing.
So I think you would, a traveling circus of flooring installers would be an interesting thing, and then take the family with you.
You never know. Maybe it would probably save my life, since would be the second time flooring saved my life.
Well, see, that's big. It could happen. It's not to say it couldn't. There's definitely guys, and there's the connections out there. I know when Luke Miller started Tile Money and he was talking about how him and his wife had a dream of traveling around, he was like, I may have to go and work like city to city, so let me know if you got stuff as I come through. So, I mean, there's definitely potential. That's interesting you say flooring saved your life, though. So now let's change gears and go back to the original direction. And how so? You go deep on me.
Well, in Anchorage, I grew up on the worst side of the city. It's basically, that's why they call it Los Anchorage, on that side of the city. And when I was about 13, I got in with the wrong crowd, like not a very good crowd at all. And that's when I kind of started to, like you say, act irresponsible, not care about the consequences of anything that I did. So I've always, ever since 13 to like 19, 20, and just lived my life like I'm invincible. And I've gotten to a lot of trouble with these people. I was not doing anything good. My family wasn't actually my family because I was never with them. I had a whole other group of people that I would be with, and they ended up kind of being like my family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting into, selling drugs, and I was just not a very good person at all. And it took me to get this job at the flooring store for me to try to change my ways a little bit. And then I started falling in love with flooring. I've always wanted to be like a carpenter or a finish carpenter or anything construction.
Mm-hmm.
And when I realized, like, I didn't realize how much I was going to love flooring. Like the passion is definitely there. Like a lot of guys, you know, say that they're just doing flooring for right now until they find a corporate job or something, and that could never be me. I think the only way I would ever get off my knees now is probably to be like a rep or something to do with flooring.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where it came from. I don't know how I fell in love with it, but I just did. I I dream about it. I just think about it all day, and I'm always thinking of ways that I could make myself better at the profession. And it saved my life, took my life going one way, and it put my mindset all into flooring. So it kind of took my mind off of that old life that I had. And now my heart and my brain is just invested in this industry. And I couldn't have asked for a better trade to get it into.
I
Like,
agree. This trade has been amazing. There's so many people in it that are excuse me, that are willing to step up and help you and encourage you and give you just about anything you want to get you to where you want to go. It's not the old, like you said, your boss is old and cranky, but look at all the things he gave you.
yeah.
It's not.
If it wasn't for this, you know, people say it all the time. It's kind of cliche, but I would have been dead or in prison. I would have gone down that route for sure. I know I would have. And also, what also started to change my life is when I got out of jail when I was 19. I got out of jail, and my mom just started crying to me, and she told me, "You're gonna go to prison for the rest of your life, or you're gonna get shot." And she was just crying and crying, and then I started putting my head towards work. I just wanted more money,
Mm-hmm.
and wanting more money came with me falling in love with this trade. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know how I got so lucky to be able to get the passion for this.
I mean, I think you just needed to be given something to be passionate about. So, like, how did we kind of touched on it, but like, I don't know if his name's really Bob, but how did like Bob kept coming back for you? He'd kick your ass, he'd send you to the curb, and then he'd come back for you. So,
I still,
what did he do that changed you? You know, he had to have played a role before you went out with cranky boss man that kicks your butt every day and yells at you. So both of these older men have been influential in your life. So what did they do? How do we as older people communicate with a younger generation, not just by yelling at them, but you know, there was obviously encouragement and love and care and patience. Like, you know, I know you say they get cranky and yell, but there was more than that.
yeah, no, for sure. I still actually have it, but like probably like the best way that he helped me to change was made me want to change myself. Like the third time I got fired, he walked up to me and he was like, "Look, I really wish you could have stayed, but," he was like, "I just can't have you right now, but take this." And he gave me a notebook. And on the front of the notebook in big Sharpie, it just said life goals.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened up, and on the first page, he had like 10 different bullet points of what kind of goals that I want to set for myself. He said, you know, you don't have to write in it every day, you know, just if you're sitting down and you see it, open it up. And he wrote like 10 different questions and how I want to set those goals.
Mm-hmm.
So after about a month, I finally filled out all 10. And one of the things on there is, where do you see yourself in 10 years? So I would fill out those goals, and then I would just, if I was feeling down or something, or I had nothing to do, I'd open up that book and I saw the goals that I wrote on there, and it just made me want to achieve those goals even more.
Mm-hmm.
He basically gave me a better, what do you call it? Like self-image, or like made me look at my life differently.
Yeah.
And he would push that into me. And there would be like those hard talks, you know, or him yelling at me. But then after, he'd always tell you like, you know, I love you, man. I just want you to be your best self, after being yelled at and stuff. So it made me like love the stern talk even more.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely him trying to get myself to look at me in a better light was one of the best things he could have like done. I hold on to that every day. I think about how I used to think of myself as not like a great person. You know, I thought of myself as I'm just a piece of crap. And then now I'm able to look at myself even in a better light and see the person that I've always wanted to be, or like what they say, be the person that your kids think you are.
Mm-hmm. He gave you meaning. He made you define who the best you was.
Exactly.
Do you have that notebook?
Yeah, I do. I'm pretty sure it's in one of these drawers, but I still have it. It's this, little green notebook.
Okay. Do you have a new notebook?
I have something kind of like it.
Okay.
It's like a planner, and I was using it for my bill book, and I have some of my goals written down in it.
Okay.
But so it still sticks with me. I still try to achieve those goals. I've probably only achieved maybe 2 or 3 of them out of the 10, but my family is basically those goals. I wanted to be happy with a wife and kids, and my kids, you know, they always change people's lives. You know, they changed my life for the better also. So being in between my kids and being in this industry it just saved my life.
No, I get it. That's deep, man. I appreciate you sharing and being like letting raw emotion speak and come out. That's goals are so important. It's the longest time I had tons of ambition. And I think a lot of people have ambition. They can talk. They can talk the talk, but they don't necessarily walk the walk. And they can say, I'm going to do this and I can do that. And I'm going to have these, I got these big goals, these big dreams. But until you have drive, until you actually get up off your butt and start doing things to accomplish them, it doesn't matter. And so like you said earlier, you had that mindset. Your mom kind of gave it to you of like, I'm going to be the best. Like, I just need to think of myself as the best on the field. But if you weren't out there actively doing it, that mindset gets you nowhere. Yeah, so not only did he force you to define yourself, but he forced you to look at it and define how you were going to get there. And therein lies the difference of how you actually started accomplishing something, I think.
Yeah. It kept me from not lying to myself anymore. Basically, like thinking that I wasn't going to be anything and I wasn't trying to achieve my goals, and I was starting to prove myself wrong, which was so right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But that is one thing that I definitely hold close to my heart that he's ever taught me. And I try to tell that to other people too. Get a goal book. I think that's the most smartest thing you could do, because you don't have to accomplish those goals right away, but you always see what you want to strive for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, I try to feed that to a lot of people too.
Well, and I think you defined exactly what the issue is and why we think these kids don't want to work hard. What's their goal? What do they want out of working for us? Why does it have to be it's only us worried about, I'm paying you, you need to do the job? Dude, They came to work for you. It's your job to teach them something. What do they want to learn? I don't care if they want to go on and be a banker and they just want to do this part-time for a year or two just to be able to like pay bills and drink with their buddies on the weekend because they're living on their own. it's our responsibility as a leader, as a mentor, to teach them something. So he made you define what you wanted to learn, and I'm sure once you had it, you probably went and had conversations about it, and he's
Yeah,
like a
for
mentor
sure.
to you. So why aren't we doing that with our employees? Fortune
Yeah,
500
true.
companies do it with their employees. You have to define, if you want a raise, you have to define what you're going to do to get it. You know, there's
And
annual
if you,
reviews, right? Why aren't we doing
yeah,
that? Why are we
and
any different?
if you want them trained how you see it in your head, you have to put forth the effort to getting them to that. And once you start, what I've noticed too with the new apprentices is once you start trying to show initiative about how to do things and show them the right way, well, then it gives them more motivation to want to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
But you just, you got to like open up that spark in them about how they should be or how you want them to be. Otherwise, they're just there to put hours on and get money at the end of the day and not willing to learn anything. But I think once you start teaching new guys and they start getting the hang of it, they'll make them feel better about themselves and want to learn more, get better at what they're doing. But until you get them motivated to want to learn, then they're just not going to care.
No,
And I think
100%.
that's that's what I what happened to me. Once I started to get the hang of it, I wanted to be everything or be the best. Like I said, like I wanted more and more and more. And I just haven't lost that passion. I don't think I ever will because, I mean, I don't know. It's just crazy.
Well,
So you
there's
just got to
so
open
much.
up that spark. Yeah.
Do you want to, you can be the best at carpet. You could be the best at hardwood. You could be the best at click together vinyl plank. There's so many different ways you can take this industry, and to be the best at everything, man, it's never going to happen. But
Yeah.
you can strive all you want, and that's great. I love it. I'm the same way. Like, I know what I do isn't very impressive, but every once in a while, man, I'll do something and I'm like, wow, I did that. Like, that's amazing. That's good work. But we got to do it better
Yeah.
next time because I noticed and that. Like, we're our own
Yeah.
worst critics, but
I tried to make sure that I learn, or I'm trying to make sure that I know how to install every type of flooring. Because if
okay,
you're subbing through a shop and you know how to install everything, you'll always have work. Instead
correct.
of just like doing, I only do vinyl plank. So unless it's a vinyl plank job, don't call me. Well, what if for like a whole month there's a bunch of carpet jobs? People are
Yeah.
still out there making money, but you wouldn't be. And I mean, I hate carpet. You know, everyone does except for the carpet guys. But I sometimes I enjoy doing it. But if I had to choose, of course, I would always go hard surface. But I just want to make sure that I have that ammo in the clip. You know, I always have something to lean back on.
hmm No, and I think that's a good way to do it. If you're proficient in a lot of things, then you can always kind of stay afloat. If you're only good at one thing, then it's not that you can't find work, but it's very specialized. It's going to be harder. So you better be the best at it and getting all the high end pay jobs so that you can float yourself through slower times.
Yeah, exactly.
It's there's always pros and cons. So, um, I don't know. Do you still go hang out with Big Bob?
Yeah, I go to the shop every morning. I'll
No.
go to the shop, you know, we'll all drink our coffee before we go to the job. I'll sit there from like probably 8 o'clock to like 8:45 every morning, just BSing, you know,
Okay.
for the morning, talk about jobs. And the warehouse guy there, he was in sales, and then he went to warehouse on one of the times when I got fired. And then when I went back, me and him, you know, came like best friends. So everyone at the shop is like, we're not just like, it's not just like a normal store where we're like all pretty close to family. One of the salesmen knows my biological dad from South Dakota, and we just got closer than I ever thought we would. And of course, I still get crap from Big Bob all day, you know, every day. But he says it's out of love, and I think it is too, but he's happy to see that I'm doing good now.
Mm-hmm.
He told me that he was really worried about me for a long time. And even though I'm not working with him, he's happy to see that I'm in a place at life where I'm comfortable and taking care of myself. So it's kind of nice being able to go there and talk with him and hear that, like, the satisfaction he gets makes me just want to keep proving myself wrong and keep getting better.
No, that's awesome. I like I said, you got a mentor. He holds you accountable, and so you're able to go and show him, like, here's the steps I'm taking, here's where I'm at, this is what I'm accomplishing. And I think that's the huge difference. That's what guys are missing is, yes, you have to have boundaries as like an employee-employer relationship, but that doesn't mean that you can't be a guide, a mentor. A lot of us are, you know, if the average age of the installer is 55 plus at this point, and you're hiring a kid that's 18, I mean, dude, you're 3 times the age of him. You're practically his grandfather. If not, you know, like, you don't really have any other role besides being mentor. So find a way to do it, and then you may run into less problems. They're not just there to get a paycheck. These are, where were you at 18? Not you, but like I'm asking the audience, you know, like, I know where I was at. I was an idiot. I thought I knew everything. So did you. And without somebody to help guide us along, we never would have gotten pointed in the right direction and straightened out, whether that was our own father, own mother, a boss, a pastor. Like, I don't know who it was, but somebody probably helped you out. You got to do that. We have to step up as an industry and take an interest in who is working for us. They're not just somebody you give money to.
Yeah, and try to get them to improve every day. Try to make them want to. I mean, I still improve every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I learn so much every single day. There's places that I want to be at in this industry in the next 10 years, but I'm not going to get there if I just stop trying to learn more and if I didn't have the passion for this.
No, I'm with you. There's too much out there to see and do to not be excited about it. Like, don't get me wrong, I have down days and it's frustrating and blah blah blah, but that doesn't mean that the passion is gone. That doesn't mean that I don't want to strive forward. You can have an off day here and there, but we're all gonna get somewhere, and we all need to get this industry somewhere. It's technically dying.
Yeah.
And while that's good news for us semi-younger guys, and you, which is you're definitely on the younger end of the spectrum. I mean, everyone, you can't charge anything. You can't, there's no money in it. There's plenty of money in it. And there's going to be even better money in it when there's no installers, because they all had to retire because they're old. So,
and
like,
it's been said on this podcast before. Everyone says it, but FYA is like a gift.
Oh my God, yes.
Like, it's like crazy. Like, I got to meet guys like you, Rowland Thompson, you know, like, met all these guys all because of this group. And I learn every day from that too. It's like my morning paper. I wake up and I check it out, see what everyone's doing. And I wouldn't have had the chance to meet all of you guys if it wasn't for that.
No, I agree. I need to get back on James Dowling and get him on here, because it's thanks to him that we have it.
For sure.
And I've reached out to him a couple times, and I gotta start bugging him again, because if anyone deserves a spot on this show, it's definitely him. And for you to include me with people like Rowland, that's man, that's a compliment and a half. I definitely don't deserve that.
Well, you know what I meant.
Yep. There's Kyle, and then there's Rowland. No, honestly, if man, for anybody, go to a training, go to a surfaces or a coverings or a NWFA convention, CFI convention. Um, Go to a Schluter class, man. I don't care. Get with other installers that are investing in their future by participating in the industry, and you are going to meet some amazing people that you want to stay in touch with. And it's not that there's not a ton of amazing people on Flooring Installers of America, but there's guys that definitely take it to another level. And that's where a lot of these groups formed from. It was all the guys that never shut up about flooring, you know, and do it 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and drive their wife's nuts. Or if you're a woman and you're out there installing and kicking butt and taking names, you probably drive your husband nuts by pointing out that one tile is a little off and shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
But
that's
you just
definitely what I'm going for next is getting all my certifications that I can.
okay. So
I was
why do you want them? I don't want to cut you off. Like, go ahead and finish your thought, but I want to know why you want to go get certifications.
basically just, because I have that cocky attitude. I want to say that I have them.
Okay.
I want to be able to make sure that I know how to do things like by the guidelines. And I was talking with another installer last week. And I told him I asked him if he's going to start getting guys together, for see if I can come up here. And two of the guys said, certifications won't get you anywhere. You don't need them. And that I just looked at him and I was like, well, that's not how I want my mindset to be. I want to be able to say that I'm certified, maybe even keep going and become a master,
Mm-hmm. What does that mean for you though? Because I'm not gonna lie. Look, I'm certified CFI 17580 hardwood and laminate 1. I want to go take the hardwood and laminate 2 course. The certification doesn't mean anything unless you make it mean something. So what does that actually mean to you, and how will you use that to further your career?
Basically, I guess like the accolades of it and being able to tell potential clients that I am certified. You wouldn't have to worry about the way I do things because I was taught from the best people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to be able to carry that around with me, saying that I'm certified. Because there's a lot of guys up here that aren't certified. There's a lot of people all over the world that aren't certified. And I kind of want to just be, I guess you can call it the 1% of flooring, being able to say that you're certified. And ever since I found out about CFI, that's been what I know I'm going to do. And ever since I found out about surfaces, I told myself I'm going to go there one day. And I made that happen. Well, George Luker made that happen.
Yeah.
Which I'm so thankful for him. He's a fucking badass. Or, sorry.
That's okay.
He's a BA dude. And I was able to go surfaces. So that's a check off the list. Now it's time to get certified.
Okay.
But probably in like a year or two.
You make it happen, man. There's ways to make that happen, but I get it. It's tough to get away from the family. My wife was not excited when I was like, so we're going to be on vacation for 3 weeks for Christmas, and then I'm going to come back and I'll be home a couple days, and then I'm going to go to Texas for 3 days, and then I'm going to do these couple of other jobs, and then at the end of the month I'm going to go away for surfaces. Like December was to January, she was not like, yes, we were together in December, but it was not happy where I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go do these things. So
yeah, that makes her just, like I said, your whole family's invested in this.
Correct. She's got to raise them as a single mom for a couple of days. It throws everything off. It happened a lot more when I was doing film. I'd be gone long enough for her to get a routine going, and then I would pop back in, and Dad's all fun and games and ruins everything. So then that routine got shot, and we'd get back used to being home, and then I would leave again. So I get it. Here's what I have to say about certifications. And I think that you wanting it so that you can advertise yourself as better quality and all of that is great. Once we finished our hardwood and laminate certification, Jonathan Varner, who's like the lead trainer for CFI currently, sat us down, looked us all dead in the eye, all 10 or 12 of us that were in the class, and said, here's the deal. I'm putting my name on your certificate and saying that you all came here and you know what you're doing. So that's not your name out in the field. That's my name. And if you screw up and I hear you have a floor failed, I'm going to call you and rip you a new one. And I can respect them for that. Because there's somebody else saying that you know what you're doing. And so it's not just you going out under your company name anymore, trying to make a name for yourself. That's now how many other people, because Jonathan's dad, Robert, probably certified him, or at least one of the quote unquote old school CFI guys did, who was certified by some other old school CFI guy. You know, there's a group there. You're letting down a generation or two of people when you screw up, because somebody took the time to invest in you and sign off on you. And now you go out and you make a bad name. So when I get why people say there's nothing in a certification. Consumers don't know about it. And it's true. They don't. But we can educate them about it. And that's on us. And there's other people that are invested in you once you get that certification. There's other people saying that you are now going to live by standards. And that's what makes it mean something to me, is I've got somebody else's name on my certificate saying I can do it right. And if I screw up, I didn't let myself down. I've now let them down and whoever certified them. And that's a big deal.
Yeah, now their name is on it. So
correct.
I like that you said that, actually. I like where you're coming from with that. And now it just makes me want it even more.
That's awesome, though.
I don't
You get
let
it.
anyone down. I don't want to let anyone down. Yeah.
Correct. I mean, how are you going to feel if you got Rowland to come up? Because I know you have a relationship with him. If you got Rowland to come up to Anchorage and hold the class, and then you had a failure on a floor he certified you to be a professional on, how are you going to feel?
I'd probably be scared to tell him.
Right? But like, it's a matter of there being accountability amongst friends, colleagues, mentors, apprentices, all of it. The relationships that are built through something like that are more important than the certification will ever be. But that's what's not explained. It's always, the cert will get you more money. Well, no, the cert will get you more money if you know how to sell it. But what I really get out of it is a relationship. And relationships are priceless.
Yeah, most definitely. I've been really figuring that out lately. And I just feel lucky to build some of these relationships. And even now, even though I'm not certified, I have to still live up to what I'm doing and live up for the people that believe in me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to disappoint them, disappoint these people.
Yeah.
And so I definitely see where you're coming from.
Well, you've got a bunch of people that have taken a chance on you. Big Bob took a chance on you. Your boss took a chance on you. George took a chance on you. There's people invested in the JC Braveheart story at this point. But everyone sees potential. Everyone sees a kid that wants to be involved in the industry beyond being stuck in Anchorage, Alaska. And that's not a bad thing, but your market's definitely different than being part of the contiguous 48 states. So I get it. There's pressure on you. I see it. I see you put it on yourself since we were able to hang out, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah. It's like almost more motivation, but also scary, because I do see, people who believe in me, and I do hear like some good things that people say about me. And now it just makes it so I almost can't mess up. And I almost have to keep going and just keep getting better in this trade. And not let everyone down that told me that they believed in me.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say you can't mess up. I think that's wholly acceptable. It's how it's how you mess up and what you do with it. But I also think that pressure and that fear is what drives you to become better. There's comfort levels. There's charts online, you can find them, and it explains like when you'll actually grow. And you don't grow until you put yourself in an uncomfortable position. And you found that position. You found those people. You reached out to them, and you put yourself there because it was something you wanted. So you did it to you without knowing it.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's a good thing because now you have someone to hold you accountable. You're going to get where you want to go because you made that happen.
And I would not want to screw anything up. Like, I honestly don't think I deserve for any good things that people say about me, or for the people who actually pushed me. I didn't deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
But then once I started figuring out, like, it's crazy how someone saw the good in me and was able to get me to be the best version of myself. And I feel thankful for that motivation and that the belief. Well, I don't think I deserved it, but then it was like a gift. And I'm so happy that that gift happened. I would not be where I am today with, you know, Big Bob or my boss, the people who believed in me. I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at today. And like you said, like, I can't let them down now.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it. This podcast is up to like 200 listens a week. Blows my mind. I don't know why anyone want to listen to me talk. I hope they don't come to listen to me talk. I hope they come to listen like to the guests. Because I wouldn't listen to me, man. It blows my mind. This trade has been way better to me than I deserve, in all aspects, and I think you've found that same thing. So here's my challenge to you. You said the young apprentice that you've had for like 6 months now is getting a little lippy. Go sit down with him, have a talk with him, find out what he wants, man. Do for him what was done for you. Go pay it forward, and see if that doesn't change his attitude when you start investing some time for him and into him.
Yeah, I do need to work on that, because I know that if it felt like people didn't care about what I was doing, I wouldn't care about myself. So just, I guess, give him more of the motivation. But you can't teach work ethic. You can, but
Yeah, you can. I think you can, but I get it. But if you sit down and you have that conversation about what he wants, maybe he doesn't want to do flooring full time. Maybe he wants to go do something else. But in the meantime, you can help him work towards that goal, and he can get better at what that ultimate goal is through doing better at flooring. There's ways to sell it, but you know, I think through our conversation, you'd kind of been like, I'm just becoming the cranky old guy. Well, stop being cranky old guy and yelling at him, and go invest in him the way you were invested in. And I that's my challenge to everyone that has an apprentice that they are cranky with right now. Go
yeah,
invest in them personally and emotionally. I'm not telling you they have to become your kid. They don't have to be your best friend. But invest in them. Give.
because everyone who believed in me, they could have just been the cranky old guy to me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to follow that example. That's a great challenge, actually. Thank you.
You're welcome. I need to get enough work to hire somebody and do the same thing. I'm not gonna lie. It's we all started somewhere. Someone believed in us along the way. We have to continue to pay that forward. Otherwise, we're never going to get anywhere. And we're just going to keep saying everyone's lazy. And that's not acceptable to me. this format that everyone, like I said, I'm amazed anyone listens to me, but this is a gift to me that you all listen and value what I say. Not that there's not other people out there thinking it, but we're able to communicate it now, and that's amazing. So it just gets information out there quicker and faster and allows us to really get on the same page. So JC, I appreciate you sharing your story. I am glad that, in your words, flooring saved your life. You are where you are today because of it. It's made you a great young man. I thoroughly enjoyed meeting you in Vegas and watching you, what you did for George over 3 days of getting people to that booth was amazing. You know, you were out there shouting from the rooftops, doing what you needed to do to make that happen for him because he gave you an opportunity. And so it speaks volumes about your character just in the flooring trade in general. Is there anybody that you want to shout out to or anything you want to promote? You do what you need to do, buddy.
I guess shout out to Big Bob.
Okay.
But I got to give a shout out to Chad Lewis.
Yeah, you guys are like brothers, man. You guys are.
Yeah.
He is a horrible big brother for you.
And stay tuned for Braveheart Interiors in the making.
Okay.
And yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. I enjoyed talking to you. I enjoy this podcast too. Every time it pops up on my notifications, I'm like, yes, got something to work to today.
Awesome. Thank you. That means a lot. I wish I could stomach listening to them. I hate hearing my own voice.
I'm probably not gonna listen to this one.
Give it a couple months and then it'll be okay. That's usually where I'm at. I'm actually my last episode listened to is from back in October, so I'm about 6 months behind.
Yeah, I can't stand the sound of my own voice.
Yeah.
I wish it sounded how it sounded in my head.
Yes, that's the one. That's it. All right, JC, thank you for coming on. Thank you, Big Bob, for giving us this talented young man these days. And thank you to everybody for listening. Don't forget to go and invest in the future of this industry, in your apprentices. So JC, I'm sure I will talk with you soon, buddy.
Yep. Hey, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. That's all the time we have for this week. To keep the conversation going, head on over to the Floored-U-Cation Facebook group. Be sure to subscribe so you can hear each and every episode. We can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and most major podcast directories. Don't forget to leave a review and let us know what you think about the show. If you'd like to be a guest, have questions or feedback, you can email us at flooreducation@gmail.com. You can help support the show by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/flooreducation. Remember, your education never stops.